It's Mary Oliver's birthday. Happy birthday, Queen Mary. She died a few years ago. She was so important to me as a poet, as a writer, and also as a spiritual being. Mary Oliver was much like Rumi, equal to Rumi, but her beloved was the earth, the natural world, and I related to that. I'm always surprised when people say they've never heard of Mary Oliver or never read her poetry, and especially if they've never heard of her poem Wild Geese, which is one of the most published poems in the Western world, maybe one of the most famous poems in the history of the earth. And I'd like to read it for you right now. This is called Wild Geese by Mary Oliver. You do not have to be good. You do not have to walk on your knees for 100 miles through the desert, repenting. You only have to let the soft animal of your body love what it loves. Tell me about despair, yours, and I will tell you mine. Meanwhile, the world goes on. Meanwhile, the sun and the clear pebbles of the rain are moving across the landscapes, over the prairies and the deep trees, the mountains and the rivers. Meanwhile, the wild geese, high in the clean blue air, are heading home again. Whoever you are, no matter how lonely, the world offers itself to your imagination, calls to you like the wild geese, harsh and exciting, over and over announcing your place in the family of things. This first line, you do not have to be good, releases you in a brushstroke from thousands of years of human civilization, of judgment and codes and religions and laws. You do not have to be good. That is so liberating and spoken in a way that even a third grader, even a toddler, would understand. You do not have to walk on your knees for 100 miles through the desert repenting. I think that's a reference to Saint Anthony and other desert ascetics who went out into the desert in Egypt to live in order to be closer to God, I suppose. And I don't think that works. I think Mary would agree with me that if you're right, if you're not, I mean, we're always next to God. If God is, then we are a part of it. You only have to let the soft animal of your body love what it loves. And I think this word animal is so important. She has stated her thesis that we are not separate from the animals. We are not separate from nature. We have developed these philosophies and religions and civilizations based on the erroneous notion that humanity and nature are separate. And she is clearing that up. Tell me about despair, yours, and I will tell you mine. Meanwhile, the world goes on. Well, that's harsh, isn't it? Time does not stop for you and your self-pity. And she's going to justify that. Meanwhile, the sun and the clear pebbles of the rain. Rain is not pebbles. Pebbles are not rain, but she has broken this idea and allowed you to reassemble it in your own mind and made the nature of this poem interactive suddenly. This is a very mystical way to approach language in poetry. the clear pebbles of the rain, to say things that don't make immediate sense, and you have to make them make sense because that's what we do. They're moving across the landscapes, over the prairies and the deep trees. Over. So from the perspective of above, the trees are deep, not tall. Right? It's so good. She's so good. The mountains and the rivers. Meanwhile, again, the third meanwhile. You do not have to. She repeats these lines in order to bring the lyrical nature of this poem to life. Technically, it's free verse. There's no rhymes. There is alliteration. There are different ways that she connects things without rhymes. She's part of a new breed of poets. And she's also using this this fairly new idea in poetry still at the time. So William Carlos Williams says, "No ideas but in things," and this was sort of the clarion call of the Imagists, who wanted to avoid the abstraction of the Romantics and talk about things. And William Carlos Williams' poem, his most famous poem, is the one about the plums. They were so sweet and so cold. And the feeling of that thing, and the sense memory of the things. The chicken beside the wheelbarrow glazed with rainwater, right? So she's doing that. The sun and the clear pebbles of the rain, the prairies, the deep trees, the mountains, the river. She's creating the world in this poem, recreating it. This could be out of Genesis. Meanwhile, the wild geese high in the clean blue air, heading home again. Home. This is important. That word is so important in this. Whoever you are, no matter how lonely, Mary is talking to you right now and saying the world offers itself to your imagination, calls to you like the wild geese, harsh and exciting, harsh like meanwhile the world goes on, right? That's harsh, but it's real. The world is not necessarily a kind place, but we are of it. We are it. The world offers itself to your imagination, calls to you like the wild geese. She repeats wild geese, harsh and exciting, over and over, again repetition, over and over, announcing your place in the family of things. Mary is saying, if you could reduce this poem to 2 words, we belong. No matter how powerful people make laws about our bodies, our sexuality, our whatever, all the trappings of civilization and success and righteousness, underneath that, there is a truth of us being in the world, connected to the world, a part of the world. Yeah. It's so good for so many reasons. I hope today that you will get yourself some Mary Oliver poetry and read it out loud, even to yourself. It's powerful to read it out loud to yourself, and maybe even more powerful to read it out loud to other people. Look up, you go on YouTube, there's a couple of fabulous readings that she does at universities. One I found a few days ago, it's about an hour long. And it's wonderful to hear her read, to hear her voice, to hear her intent and her dry humor and her incisiveness. The way she knows herself and what she believes and what is real. Happy Mary Oliver's birthday. Love y'all. Bye-bye.